Hello YouTube, this is UMelso3. In the previous lesson, we learned about something kind of different. We talked about file input and output, and we basically said that Python is capable of reading to files, appending text to files, and rewriting files. And we said that basically we would call the open function on a particular text file, and then we would need to specify whether or not we were going to mandate read access, write access, or append access. And so in the previous video, we saw some examples of that, and I sort of wanted to try to pick up where we left off because I thought there were a few more things that were important to be said. Okay, so remember we can just go ahead and I'm going to do a doc string just because I'm going to be saying a lot of things, right? So then if we what we would do is we would say variable name equals open of fileName.txt with R. Okay, and so basically then we could basically have something like print of variable name.read. Okay, and so basically we said that this would print the entire contents of variable name. Okay, and so print the entire context of file name. Okay, whatever the file is. Okay, and then we could also go ahead and say print of variable name dot read lines. So what would this do? So this would print a list where each element is a line in the file. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. And then you could also iterate with a for loop. Okay, so then the third thing that you could do, what I was trying to say at the end of the last video, but time got kind of short, is that you can actually iterate through the lines of a file using a for loop. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to run this code. Okay, so if we remind ourselves of what's in sampleText.txt, it has 3 lines in here right now. So sometimes blank slates are nice. Another line is another element, and another line is yet another element. So now if you go ahead and run main.py, what is this going to do? We create a variable which refers to opening the text file with read access. And then we say for each of the lines, for every element in file, which we're arbitrarily going to call line, we're going to print that line. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to run this code and it prints each of the lines in the text file. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and hopefully you have a good understanding of what's going on with that. Okay, and then we also talked about append access, right? We also talked about append access. So if we close this file, if we're done reading from it, but then if we want to go ahead and add something else to it, right? So now we could go ahead and say file2 equals open of sampleText.txt with append access. And we said that append is responsible for basically attaching more text onto the end of an existing file, right? And then basically you could call the write function. So we said write of, how about yay? We'll do a \n, we'll make sure that it's on a new line, and we said we can do that with an escape sequence, and then we said yay, another line, okay, or something like that. Okay, and then if you're going to deal with write access, that's basically the only thing you need to do, and then you can close it. So you open it, write it, and then you close it. And then let's redefine file2. So now file2, it's still going to refer to opening sample.txt, but it's going to do it with read access now. It's going to do it with read access, okay? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to say w equals file2.read, and then we can say print of w. So that's going to give us all the output of all the text in sampleText.txt after we went ahead and wrote this new lines of it using the append function. So now if we go to the write function, so now we go ahead and do this, right? And then we see these 4 lines here, right? Because we're sort of printing, it's printing multiple things, right? So it took the original text file, and then it printed those 3 lines because we had the for loop, but now it's going to go ahead and print these 4 lines, right? So now it prints the new text file. So now it says sometimes blank slates are nice, another line is another element, and another line is yet another element, and then yay, another line. And then we said that we could also just completely replace the contents of our text file by calling the append function. So now let's redefine file2 again, and we're going to say sampleText.txt and then w. I think in the previous video I was just creating variables. One referred to read, one referred to append, one referred to write. But it turns out that you can just go ahead and have, you can just keep redefining the variable and use it for a different purpose each time. So now what if you said for y in file2, what if you said print of y? Okay, and so now we can go ahead, and then you would just have to say, you would just go ahead and have to say, let's take a look here. So now we have to open up write access, and then, so we wouldn't be printing, right? We would say file2.write of new file or something like that, okay? And then you could say file2.close, and then file2.open with read access, right? So you can sort of see the process here. So now we're going to go ahead and open it with read access again, and I'm going to say for y in file2, print of y. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. And now if we go ahead and run it, let's see, there's going to be an issue. Maybe we spelled something wrong here. So there's an issue with line 42. So it says sample text open. Oh, file2 equals, right? Not dot open. File2 equals open of sampleTxt. Okay, and then now we just go ahead and see the new file there. Okay, so then if you go ahead and look at the text file, that's the only thing that it printed. And then, you know, this is from other executions of code where we were doing other things. But you can see that the text file got modified successfully, and that's why it just says new file now, because we specified that we wanted write access. So hopefully that's clear to you. I think that's pretty much all that I want to say about that. I guess the last thing I could say about it is that you can use a with statement to you can use a with statement. Okay, so basically what you could have also said is you could say, oh, that's the text file. So you could say, let's put that back, new file, right? But then what you can do is we can use the with keyword to refer to open of fileName.txt with something as a variable. So we can just refer to it as basically a straightforward, concise variable name. Okay, so essentially, let me move myself there. So then essentially what we're going to do is we're going to basically say with open of sampleText.txt read access as W, okay, and then you would basically have a colon there. This is called a with, okay? So basically with architecture allows you to refer to an expression by another name. So it's basically equivalent to saying W equals open of sampleText.txt with read, okay? But now you could say print of W.read, okay? And then it would go, it would have the same effect here. And so now if you go ahead and run main.py, we see the contents of the file. What I want to do in this video is talk about advanced data structures. We're going to be talking about iterables. Okay, so we're talking about iterables, and we might have to use a little bit of the next video. But iterables, basically, we're going to be talking about 4 iterables. One is called a list. We already learned that. We already know what it is. Another is called a tuple. Another is called a set. And the last one we'll study is a dictionary. Okay, so we're going to talk about what these different things mean. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you about this word in Python called none. So maybe you've heard of a null before. Maybe you've heard of null. So it's like null, but it basically represents the absence of a value. Okay, so it's like null if you were talking about Java. Okay, so none is returned by any function that does not explicitly return anything else. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. What we're going to do is we're going to say define f of y. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say print of y mod 4. So it's going to print the remainder when y is divided by 4. So certainly we'd be looking to put either an int or a float in there. It wouldn't make sense to have a string or a list or a Boolean input. Okay, but what if you had said print of f of 2? So this is an example of where we said there's a distinction to be drawn between functions that print something and functions that return something. The function here prints something. So if we went ahead and called, you know, let's call f of 201, that would basically print the result, the remainder when 201 is divided by 4, and indeed that's 1, okay? But what if you had said print of f of 201? Remember, we said that functions that are void just print something. They don't return anything, okay? So that's why you just see none there, okay? And it did its best, I guess, to try to run the output. I mean, it's basically did a function call to f, okay? So it's still basically printed, because you said f of 201, so it goes over to f of 201 and, you know, does what you asked it to do, but it's not equal to a value, okay? So if you say f of a equals f of 201, b equals f of 201, c equals f of 201, if you said print of a plus b plus c, that's what would give you that's what would give you, it would give you an issue here, right? So you basically can't print a function that doesn't return something. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And then a plus b, right? That's like basically adding a command to another command, right? F doesn't return anything. It doesn't return a remainder, it does something. So it doesn't make sense to say a plus b, okay? But this would be an example of the none data type. So that's a none data type. So hopefully hopefully you can see that appearing on the screen, right? And that's kind of what that is. So I just wanted to share that with you. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about these 4 data structures, okay? And if I spend only about 2 or 3 minutes on each of them, we'll cover all of them, which is not going to happen. So we're going to need more time in the next video. But what we do, we remember a list is a collection of elements. They can be accessed by index position, and it's mutable, okay? So what mutable means, so lists can be modified, okay? So we can add elements, remove elements, or modify existing elements, okay? So we saw examples of that, right? We could have said list.append. We could have said list.append of x, right? Or we could have said, list.remove of x. Or we could have said list of w equals x or something like that. But those are examples of how we would call a list mutable. Mutable, it means that it can be changed. A tuple is an immutable collection of elements, okay? So once a tuple is created, it can store any elements of any data types, okay? We can also access elements by index position. So as you know, up to this point, tuples are similar, to lists, but tuples are unlike lists in that they cannot be changed. You cannot add, remove, or modify values. Okay, so let me show you basically how a tuple works in Python. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say my list is equal to 2901. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my tuple is equal to I'm going to say 7, 3, 8, and then I'm going to have a boolean, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say like lists, tuples can have elements of mixed data types, okay? But we are going to try to modify both of these data structures and see what happens, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my list of 0 is equal to my list of 3. So what this does is it reassigns the element at index position 0 to what's at position 3, okay? And that happens to my list. So now what we're going to do is we're going to print my list. And indeed, we should see the element, the first element in the list, be updated from 2 to 1. Okay, so now you can go ahead and run main.py and you get 1901. We're going to try to do the same thing with a tuple. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say my tuple of 2 is equal to 100. Okay, and then we're going to say print of my tuple. Okay, and then you can go ahead and try to run that. And it throws an exception. It throws a type error. Remember when we studied exceptions? It says there's a type error, and it says tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so this would not be valid. You're not allowed to do that. You could print my tuple of 2. You can print the entire tuple. So then what happens if you try printing a tuple? So now you're going to go ahead and run main.py, right? And so what you're going to recognize is the only difference in syntax is that lists are enveloped by square brackets and tuples are enveloped by parentheses, okay? To access index positions, we still use square brackets in both cases, okay? So if you wanted to say print my tuple of 2, that would totally be valid, right? And then you would get an element out of that. So it says that the element at index position 2 of my tuple is 8, right? And then you could still do length of my tuple, and then this is going to be a constant, okay? So length of a tuple is constant, but a length of a list can change, right? And so the length of my tuple is not going to change. Once you create a tuple, that's the length. Okay, so it's basically 4. It's kind of like an array in Java, but it's even less mutable than that, right? Because we said with an array in Java, we can change the index positions, but we cannot change the length. I mean, so we can change values, but we can't add or remove. With tuples, not only can we not add or remove, we can't even change the values. So hopefully you can understand that item assignment is not supported and neither is appending, right? So you could not say my tuple dot append of 10, right? You can see that this word is being highlighted and it's saying, well, I don't know if I can go ahead and append something onto a tuple, but then if you said my list dot append of 10, then that's no issue, right? So if you go ahead and print my list, then you're going to see a 10, attached onto the list, and that was after we modified one of the elements. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and that's basically the characterization of a tuple. And so they're very similar, but they're immutable and their values cannot be changed. And if you tried to do so, we would get a type error. And remember, we're talking about parentheses instead of square brackets. So you could say, another tuple, and then you could say, 2, 5, 1. okay? And then you could say print of another tuple, and then again, you would just see those elements come out in parentheses. And so by using parentheses, you are literally indicating to Python that this is a list that's not to be changed, okay? But you can still iterate through it. So this is an example of an iterable, okay? So you could still say w equals 0 while w is less than length of another tuple. You could say print of another tuple of w, right? It's a review of while loops, just an ordinary while loop, and then you'd have to increment w, right? And you could do that for multiple values. So you could do a true, 2.5. What if we do a bool of 1? We know that that's true. What if we do bool of 0? We know that's false. And then what if we do a float of 5? Okay, and then you can go ahead and run this main.py, okay, and it would be able to print each of the elements basically one line at a time. But that's a tuple, and that's essentially what we have going on with that. So it seems like I'm going to have to probably go ahead and continue, the characterization of data structures in the next video. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Maybe we'll talk about what else can we say about tuples. So let's determine whether or not we can concatenate two tuples together, okay? So we saw that for two lists A and B, A plus B returns a list with all elements of A and all elements of B, and duplicates are totally valid, okay? That's totally okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say A equals, we're just going to create two tuples, okay? And we can make them different lengths. So we could do, how about true and false, okay? And then what if we say C equals A plus B, and then we say print of C. So let's figure out whether or not we can concatenate two tuples together, and indeed we can. So this would just go ahead and return a tuple with all elements from both tuples, okay? So this returns a tuple with all elements from both tuples, okay? And so hopefully that makes sense to you, and we're going to be seeing a lot more examples of that. Could you have multiple concatenation of a tuple? What if you do C equals 4 times B? Then would it give you true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false? Well, let's go ahead and run main.py, and we can figure out that that's exactly the tuple that you would get. So like with lists, indexing positions and length of lists and iterating with the while or for loop, and concatenating, both simple and multiple, right? So simple would be the plus sign and multiple would be the star. Are supported by tuples, okay? And so those are totally legitimate. Results, okay? The goal is to count the number of even integers in a tuple. So what we're going to do is we're going to say sample tuple, and then we're going to say 83, 79, 72, 68, 70, 77, 91, 88, 80, and we can have duplicates. Let's do 80, 80, 80, 80, just to remember that we can have duplicates. And remember, I have to have parentheses and not square brackets if it's a tuple. Okay, so tuple, right? Parentheses, list, square brackets. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you, and hopefully you are understanding the difference conceptually. Okay, and then this is a pep thing, little pep thing. So they want you to have a white space after each comma. Okay, and then what you could do is you could say even numbers equals 0, okay? And then you could basically say for, and then there's so many different ways to do this, right? You could say for u in range of list of sample tuple, or list of range of length of sample tuple, right? But you'd want to know exactly how many elements are in that list, right? And then you could say print, you could say if u mod 2, what would you do? You would say if sample tuple of u mod 2 is equal to 0, then you would say even numbers plus equals 1. Okay, and then you could go ahead and say print of even numbers, and then we should get like 5 or however many are on the list. So now if we go ahead and do that, what are we going to get? So now if we go ahead and run it, we get 8. So were there 8 even numbers? Probably, right? The 72, 68, 70, 88, 80, 80, 80, 80. So the method works as it should, and then we can, or not the method, but the for loop works as it should. And we understand what tuples are now. So in the next lesson, we're going to be talking more about sets and dictionaries. We're going to talk about advanced data structures and some more advanced methods for working with lists. So hopefully that'll be interesting. But from UMills03, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.